Welcome back to Under Par for our equipment segment of the show. We want to start the season out by showing you some of the new offerings that are available to you this year and talk a little bit about some of the latest trends in golf club fitting. Here at Cavaliers Country Club, we stock basically three manufacturers: Cobra, Titleist, and Ping. Cobra has basically a new driver line with some minor changes to their hybrids, new fairway wood line as well, and a change in the what was the FP iron last year to the SZ iron this year. Basically the main change in the iron: a little bit wider sole, brings weight lower into the club head, a little bit more weight in the toe and the heel for those off-center hits, helps to stabilize the face. You hear a lot of talk about, mainly with the drivers and more so even in the putters now, but people talk about moment of inertia when the golf club manufacturers are talking about their clubs. And basically what the moment of inertia is the twisting and turning of the club head. By changing the position of the weight, moving it lower in the club face and more heel-toe weighted, that allows for a higher moment of inertia or less twisting and turning of the club head on off-center hits, mainly because there's more mass around the outside area of the club. Bringing the weight lower and deeper into the head allows for a higher initial launch angle with less spin, which gives you a higher ball flight, flatter ball flight, so that the ball will carry further and roll out further when the ball lands on the ground. So for Cobra, basically a new iron and driver line. Some of their old standbys, the S9 iron is still in play, and they have a new driver, L5V, which is a variable face position, try saying that fast 3 times, driver as well, that's on the market. Ping's basic new introduction this year is the Rapture V2 club. Built upon the old technology of the original Rapture driver. Again, just a little bit different weighting in the head, a little bit higher launching, lower spinning golf club, and they also make the Rapture irons as well. Again, the same thing, designed at higher moment of inertia, higher ball flight, a little bit lower spin for increased carrying distance. I would encourage anyone that has not been on a launch monitor, if you're getting fit for clubs, if that's available to you, that's the best option. You'll see a lot of the technology on tour now where they talk about ball speed, launch angle, and spin rates. What they're trying to do is optimize the amount of spin on the golf ball and the angle that it's launched at in order to increase distance and rollout upon the ball landing on the ground. That's how you can increase your distance and also be a little bit more accurate if you can optimize those numbers. I'm going to move over here to the Titleist fitting system, which is completely new this year. We also have interchangeable head fitting system, not only for Titleist but for Ping as well. You can see the cart offers numerous different shafts and numerous different heads. With the head and shaft combinations that we have here at the club, we're able to make over 112 different combinations. Whereas before we could only offer 8 to 10 drivers, demo drivers. Now we can take one club. If the shaft's not performing well for you, take that shaft, put it back in the cart, take another shaft, stick it in the club head, spin of the wrench, tighten it up, you're good to go. Titleist has 3 golf club heads that they're offering this year in their drivers. The 909D Comp, which is a composite head, graphite and titanium construction. They offer a 909D2, which is their traditional 460cc head, and they also offer the 909D3, which is a little bit smaller head, basic same shape. This is for a higher ball speed, higher spin rate player. That head allows some of the spin to be taken off the golf ball, and again, talking about optimizing conditions and launch angle and spin rate. That's the basic premise behind all those options that are available to you. I'll talk a quick couple minutes about wedges and wedge fittings, because people get talking about fitting irons, fitting drivers, but there's not a lot of talk about wedge fitting and or gap fitting. I'll talk first about wedge fitting, and we're going to put some tape on the bottom of this club just to kind of show you why this is so important. Hit a quick shot off the lie board for you here. Take a look at the tape on the bottom of the club. Ideally, what we're trying to do is get the club marked right in the center, okay, in the middle of this red line, and we also want a tape mark in the center of the tape. You can see here that the tape mark is more on the trailing edge as opposed to centered or towards the leading edge. Based on changes in bounce angles, which is the difference between the leading edge here and the trailing edge, we can get that mark on the tape to move from the back towards the center or more towards the leading edge. And you're gonna use that to get the right golf club for you depending upon the playing conditions you're in. If you're playing in wet conditions, you want a club that's going to have a little bit more bounce, a little bit more of a mark towards the trailing edge, because in softer, wetter conditions, a club with not enough bounce will have a tendency to dig in the ground. You're going to leave some steep, deep divots, okay? Consequently, if you're playing on fast, firm conditions, you want a club that's going to have less bounce, because if you have too much bounce, that club will sit up in the air like so, where the leading edge is off the ground, and if you don't catch that ball just right, you're going to hit that behind that ball a little bit, skip your club into the ball, and you're going to hit some line drive shots that aren't going to be very pretty wedge shots. You're going to be chipping back from over the green. So it's going to be very important that you get the right bounce angle as well as the right lie angle. Now you can see by looking at that tape, that mark's pretty good right in between the center of that those two outside marks there. What we want to do is make sure that that club is grounded in that position. If we have a heel or a toe heavy mark, your face angle is going to be aimed either right or left at your target at impact, and it's going to be very difficult to get the ball online and get the shots to go in the direction that you want them to go. Real quick with the gap fitting is going to be filling in distance gaps in your clubs, both at the bottom end of the wedges and up near the top end when you talk about 3-4 irons, hybrids, those sort of things. If you happen to have, let's say your longest fairway wood is a 5 wood, okay, and then you go down to a 4 iron and you have a 20 or 30 yard gap in between there. You want to try to adjust those lofts, maybe get rid of a 4 iron, bring a hybrid in so that you can get equal distances between your 5 wood, your hybrid, and then your longest iron. Same goes for down at the bottom of the set. One of the main things that I see people come to me and say is, Dave, I hit my pitching wedge 120 yards, but I hit my sand wedge 80 yards. Well, that's because what most people don't realize is over the years, the lofts in the pitching wedges have gotten stronger. So a traditional pitching wedge, which was 49, 50 degrees, is now 46 to 47 degrees. Okay, so it's basically like playing a round of golf with a set of golf clubs that's missing an 8 iron, and you go right from 7 to 9 iron. Okay, so it's going to be important that you check yardage gaps, even more so at the bottom of your range in the wedge area, because those are your scoring clubs. That's where you're going to be around the greens, close to the greens, where you want to try to get that ball on the green in a close proximity to the hole so that you can get some scoring done in those areas. So if you have any questions about these clubs, any questions about club fitting, the beauty of Cavaliers is it is a private golf club, but all this equipment and all the fitting is available to non-members as well. So if you have any questions, you can please feel free to give us a call in the golf shop. You can come down, we'll do a fitting for you, we'll explain all the intricacies, and hopefully get you out there and playing some of the best golf of your life, which is going to be what we're going to cover in the instruction segment next. So please don't go too far from your set. Tune back in for the instruction portion of our show.